Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, everyone, so glad you're here. This is Thursday, December the 5th, and we're going to get into the news. There are no Q posts, but of course, there's plenty of news, and that's what we're going to go get into next. I'm getting a late start tonight, and I do apologize. I put a little note on my YouTube channel just to let the regulars know, because I know that everyone kind of looks for me around this time of night. So anyway, yeah, let's get into this. And first, I want to thank a couple people. Coffee donor, Diane Haney, thank you very, very much for your coffee donation. This is very much appreciated. And two new Patreon supporters, Eva Nance and Vicky McGregor. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Of course, all support does. And encouragement, prayers, anything, it all means a lot. So anyway, thank you. And let's get into the news. All right, we're going to start here. Let me just check, make sure everything is recording still. It is. All right. Sometimes I have to check just in case. All right. Now we're going to start with this, if it'll let me get there. Come on. Oh, there we go. It was already up. That's why. Okay. Now, witness in Trump impeachment found dead. Now, this was yesterday. And it says, let me see, let me come down here. American diplomat Melanie Honkcharenko, not sure I pronounced that right, but I'm going to try my best here, was discovered dead in her North Potomac, Maryland home early Wednesday morning. No details are known at the moment. Maryland authorities have yet to make a statement of any kind. What is known is that Honkcharenko has played an active diplomatic role in Ukraine since 2016 and was an active participant in a number of incidents described by the witness in the impeachment proceedings of President Donald Trump, and was set to be deposed behind closed doors sometime next week due to the classified nature of her work in Ukraine. Honkcharenko was a Ukrainian-born refugee who came to the United States at the age of 4 as her parents fled the then Russian state. She attended Brown University and later Oxford University in England. She was recruited out of college by a number of diplomatic agencies and served her country in various roles before joining the diplomatic ranks. She had been a member of the diplomatic community for more than 20 years and was lauded for her passionate anti-corruption stance and humanitarian efforts. Now, she was expected, according to the reports, to further corroborate the testimonies of previous witnesses and said to have a great deal of perspective from the Ukrainian point of view based on her frequent interactions with Ukrainian government officials. Melanie Honkcharenko stepped down from her position in May, just days after Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch was recalled. There have been some speculation that Honkcharenko was the whistleblower who launched the congressional investigation into President Trump, although no Republican has gone any further than insinuations on the subject. As stated, no official report has been made or any acknowledgement of Melanie Honkcharenko's death. The story was only leaked to various outlets this morning. Now, I don't know what's going on here, because I read somewhere else, and I have yet to look into this, that she is now teaching in Canada. So I don't know, but I'm going to look into this, because I'll tell you, if that is true, if she was found dead, if she is truly dead, then that is quite alarming, because you know who they're going to blame. They'll blame Trump. They will. So I don't know what is happening with this. If any of you guys have heard any additional information on this, please let me know in the comments below, because we are the news. Not I am the news. We are the news. We need to depend on one another to disseminate whatever information we have. So yeah, let me know if you have anything, because this is a very interesting development. I want to keep abreast of it. So let's go on now. All right, and down here to Nancy Pelosi. The president is a continuing threat to our democracy and leaves us no choice but to act. I am asking our chairman to proceed with articles of impeachment. Hashtag defend our democracy, she says. Oh, really? Does she really think that she is defending the democracy? She's defending her pocketbook. She's defending her power. But is she defending the democracy? No, of course not. So that is the most important news of the day, absolutely, although we're not done with her yet. Let's get to this. All right, this is Pelosi unhinged, snaps at reporter, don't mess with me. I pray for the president all the time. The president is a coward when it comes to helping kids afraid of gun violence. He is cruel for not helping dreamers. He's in denial about our climate crisis. Let's listen to unhinged Nancy. Sorry to do this to you.
Is a coward when it comes to helping our kids who are afraid of gun violence. I think he is cruel when he doesn't deal with helping our dreamers, of which we're very proud. I think he's in denial about the climate crisis. However, that's about the election. This is about the election. Take it up in the election. This is about the Constitution of the United States and the facts that lead to the president's violation of his oath of office. And as a Catholic, I resent your using the word hate in a sentence that addresses me. I don't hate anyone. I was raised in a way that is a heart full of love, and always prayed for the president. And I still pray for the president. I pray for the president all the time. So don't mess with me when it comes to words like that.
Now, did you hear her? Now, she had finished at that point addressing the crowd. She was walking away, and somebody asked her, I can't remember what he asked her precisely, but basically, why are you going ahead with this or whatever? And she snaps at the reporter. She returns to the podium. And she says, I don't use the word hate when referring to me. I was raised with a heart full of love. Really? That's what a heart full of love looks like? Wow. I'm so glad I don't have a heart full of whatever her heart is full of. And she wants to make sure I'm a Catholic. I pray for the president. Really? You're a Catholic? Wow. And you believe it's okay for abortion? You believe that post-abortion or post-birth abortion is perfectly fine? You believe harvesting organs is fine? Really? But you're a Catholic. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. And do I believe that she prays for the president? No. I think she prays on the president, but does she pray for him? Certainly not. Certainly not. Or she would not be doing what she's doing. She is out of her head. She is drunk most of the time, as we will hear later. I don't know. It alarms me why the American public can't just look at her and know, like, there's something desperately wrong with this woman. And there is. So let's go back. And let's go to the next thing. Next item. All right, now let's look at this. This is very interesting as well. Now it says, busted. Ukrainian prosecutor says Ambassador Yovanovitch lied under oath when she said she never provided him an untouchable list that included the Bidens of people that he was not allowed to investigate. Says Yovanovitch got angry when he refused. Well, now this is important, isn't it? Do you believe that Yovanovitch lied? No, she wouldn't lie, would she?
But soon after the inheritance, Lutsenko received an interesting visit.
But then she asked me about to close case of one person. Then I said, no, it is impossible. I couldn't close any case without investigation. So I took a piece of paper on my table and I write these three, not cases, but synonyms. Kasko, Leshchenko, Shabunin. Okay, Miss Ambassador, Madam Ambassador, let's continue your untouchable list. She asked me, why are you so serious? And then I destroyed this list. So, while I am general prosecutor, no president nor ambassador could give me or could announce me such lists. That was the full story. So she ran immediately from the office, and my boy in near office doors asked me what you told her. His red face, very angry. I didn't agree to receive any orders to open or to close criminal cases.
Fast forward to Adam Schiff's impeachment inquiry, and Schiff called up Ambassador Yovanovitch to testify. Lutsenko says he was shocked to watch Yovanovitch's testimony when she said she never gave him such a list. Technically, says Lutsenko, no, she never gave him a list. The list still came from her.
Our interpreter made a small mistake. He said, in Ukraine, вона озвучила. She announced me surnames. But my interpreter said he, as far as I remember, gave me a list. So announced and to give, certainly it is the difference.
Isn't that interesting? Now, so Lutsenko, the former prosecutor that Biden wanted fired because he was investigating his son Hunter and Burisma, the ambassador, Yovanovitch, gave him a list with names on it, and those names were apparently untouchable. He was not to investigate these people, and he ripped it up and said, as long as I'm, in this position, neither you nor the president or anyone else is going to give me an untouchable list of people that I cannot prosecute if they're guilty. So this is very, very interesting because it shows that Yovanovitch lied under oath, which shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, but interesting. All right, let's go back now because a lot of this is very interesting news tonight, I think. And let's look at this. All right. This is interesting for a couple reasons. This Noah Feldman, okay, he was one of the lawyers that was on the Democrat impeachment witness. He was Democrat impeachment witness Noah Feldman behind idea for Facebook oversight board. Well, there's something else too. There's a lot of things with him, but I'm going to tell you the most, well, maybe not the most, but one of the most alarming things is that this guy right here, Noah Feldman, who do you think he is? Who do you think he's related to? Well, Jeffrey Epstein is his uncle. That's right. Jeffrey Epstein is this guy's uncle. He is a Harvard professor, and he's all for Sharia law, and he hates Trump. He's always hated Trump. Harvard Law School professor Noah Feldman, one of the anti-Trump witnesses at yesterday's impeachment inquiry, is reportedly playing a critical role in Facebook's establishment of its content Content Oversight Board, colloquially dubbed the Facebook Supreme Court. The Oversight Board will, among other things, review cases from banned Facebook users who argue that the termination of their accounts was unwarranted. It is meant to give banned users the right to appeal, but this is corporate due process, not state due process. The Facebook Supreme Court will be set up by Facebook and could be shut down at any time by Facebook. According to a report by Harvard Law Today, Feldman was the one who first proposed the idea of a Facebook Supreme Court in January 2018. The purpose, according to the report, is to help Facebook balance competing values that range from supporting free expression to combating hate speech. The idea intrigued Facebook, which brought Feldman on as an advisor. The social network then asked him to produce a white paper on the idea. According to Harvard Law Today, plans to establish the Oversight Board were officially announced by the company later in the year. Feldman, a professor of constitutional law, was one of the Democrat-selected expert witnesses at this week's impeachment hearing against President Donald Trump, as reported by Breitbart News' Christina Wong. Gates then pointed out that witness Noah Feldman, professor at Harvard Law School, had written articles entitled Trump's Wiretap Tweets Raise Risk of Impeachment and Mar-a-Lago ad belongs in impeachment file. Gates also noted that Feldman was the subject of an article that said a Harvard Law professor thinks Trump could be impeached over fake news accusations. So this isn't, he's not an impartial witness, of course. Do you think the Democrats would call an impartial witness and risk that? Of course not. They're going to appoint and call rabid never-Trumpers. That's what they've done. Feldman also suggested that Democrats and liberals should lie about their distaste for Trump voters by pretending to think Trump voters are rational. Feldman said that anti-Trump elites should treat Trump voters as though they were ordinary rational voters, choosing among policy options available to them by engaging selective memory and acting as though the whole sorry episode of Trump's candidacy never occurred. That would be a noble lie, wrote Feldman. And isn't that what Pelosi is doing? She is acting like the whole Trump candidacy never occurred because she is acting as president, going over to represent America at the climate summit when she was never asked to do so. That is against the Logan Act. So she should be prosecuted, whether she will be or not, because if they tried to prosecute her right now, everyone would say, oh, they're just doing this because, he's being impeached, whatever. But remember, even though they have, said we're going forward with the articles of impeachment, he still has to be, it still has to go through the Senate. And in the Senate, they'll be able to call whatever witnesses they want. So it's not going to fare well for them, because if they think that this will pass the Senate, they are sorely mistaken. I don't know. They must be smoking crack or something, because I don't know how they could really think that they're going to win in this. I don't see how, because really it going to the Senate for a vote means that it will get a full trial and all of the truth is going to come out. So how is this going to benefit them in any way? I don't know. But anyway, speaking to Harvard Law Today, Feldman said he was excited about his role in shaping the policy of a social network with more than 2.3 billion users. For me, it is an exciting opportunity to be able to work closely with a social media platform that has more than 2.3 billion users to try to implement an institution that will work for protecting freedom of expression, said Feldman. Isn't that interesting? We are living in the days of 1984. Really, we are. George Orwell's 1984. We are living in that now, where, they're taking our freedoms, and by taking our freedoms, they're saying they're protecting freedom of expression, when all the time, really, they are taking our rights away from us for free speech. So, it's interesting. It's like, the department that made war was called the Department of Peace. You know, it was doublespeak all the time. It threw people off. You know, so that's where we're living. I know we all recognize it. So, so he says Facebook is undertaking a really bold experiment in borrowing an institution from public law and trying to apply it to the private sector and to social media and the internet. So there you go. That is this guy that they called Harvard, Jeffrey Epstein's nephew. Yes, he is. And also, he is a huge proponent of Sharia law. Yeah, wonderful guy there. Wonderful guy. Now, just because he's Jeffrey Epstein's nephew doesn't mean that he's involved in any of the things that Jeffrey Epstein was. And I'm not trying to insinuate that by any means, but he is in the same family. So I would think he would have at least some knowledge of Epstein's crimes. That would be my surmisal anyway. So let's go back now because we've got more to get to. And let's go here. Now, this is another interesting thing that came out in the news today. Kind of hard to believe and a little bit hard to hear this. I don't know if you're going to be able to hear this or not, but Biden lashes out at an Iowa voter, calls him fat. Well, he did briefly call him fat. He said he wanted to challenge him to do sit-ups outside. And basically this guy was asking him about his son, Hunter Biden, and he blew a gasket, literally. So let's listen to this. It's 2 minutes and 10 seconds long. It is hard to hear in some points, and I can't turn it up any louder because it's at the max. But let's give a listen.
I have a question I want you to answer. We all know Trump has been messing around in Ukraine over there, holding their foreign aid for them to come up and saying they're going to investigate. We don't know. Go back. But you, on the other hand, sent your son over there in the job and worked for a gas company, but he had no experience in gas or nothing. In order to get access to the president, you're selling access to the president just like that.
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. And no one has ever said that. No one has heard that. No. You see it on the TV. No, I know you do. And by the way, that's why I'm not sedentary. I get up and no, let him go. Let him go. Look, the reason I'm running is because I've been around a long time and I know more than most people know. And I can get things done. That's why I'm running. And you want to check my shape on, let's do push-ups together, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take the nice Number two. No one has said my son has done anything wrong, and I did not on any occasion. And no one has ever said it. Not one.
Now, can you believe that? He says, no one's ever said that. Everyone is saying that they've got absolute proof of that. But he's still, like, can you believe this? He thinks that this is his tactic that he uses everywhere. When anybody asks him about it, he says, you're a liar, and that's been disproven, and that's been, you know, who's lying? Certainly not the man. It's this guy. This guy. Yeah, and notice, you know, Trump can fill a stadium, and he can't even fill a medium-sized room. And all his voters look like they have, never mind. I don't need to say that. That's not even nice.
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
That's what I hear on that on MSNBC.
You don't hear that on MSNBC. You did not hear that at all. What you heard? Look, okay, I'm not going to get in an argument with you, man.
I don't want to.
Well, yeah, you do, but But look, Fat, look, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
It looks like you don't have any more backbones in Trump.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I found that interesting, and I found it very interesting the way that Biden responded. Like, what is wrong with this man? You know, Trump would, if that was Trump, he would have blew it off or whatever, addressed it. But Biden, of course, he doesn't address it with any facts or whatever. He just, well, I'll try. Do you want to do sit-ups right here? Or no, push-ups right here. I'm in better shape than you are, and the reason I'm running is because I've been around longer than most people, and I know more than most people. I don't know what is wrong with this man. Something very serious. All right. And if he reacts this way, how would he react during the presidential debates? Like if he is their choice and he ends up debating with President Trump. Can you imagine? I'm just saying, I mean, just picturing that's making me laugh because, you know, Biden would be like up there, I can take you, man. I can take you. You know he would. He's, you know, or he'd say like, look, I got these hairs. Do you want to rub my legs so the hairs will come back up? I don't know what he'd say, but it would be something equally as stupid. Look, Corn Pop's outside. He's going to beat you up, Trump. I don't know. Okay, let's go on. Now, this is from C3. So let me get this straight. Obama gave guns to cartels that got Americans killed, left Americans to die in Benghazi, funded nukes, terror in Iran, spied on journalists, used the IRS to target Americans, and IC to spy on Trump, but Trump is being impeached for delaying aid to Ukraine? Yeah, that's pretty much it. You got that pretty much right. All right, now let's look at this, because again, this is something very, very interesting. Well, I think it's interesting, and I think you will too. All right. Sorry. Now, let's look at this, shall we? Of course we shall. Bill Barr indicts 8 for illegally funneling foreign money to Adam Schiff and multiple Democrat senators. What? Bill Barr indicts 8 for illegally funneling foreign money to Adam Schiff and multiple Democrat senators. Now, why isn't that everywhere, like all over the news everywhere? Well, you and I know. Bill Barr just dropped the hammer on the hypocritical Democrats, and this wound will take years to heal. Bill Barr just broke up a massive scheme to illegally funnel foreign money into darn near every Democrat political candidate and organization. The list of the Dem organizations taking this illegal money is astounding. Almost every Dem state organization and many super PACs, including the big one, Priorities USA, all of the leading names in the Democrat Party, took in this money, including Adam Schiff and Ted Lieu, John Tester, Cory Booker, Hillary Clinton, etc. A real rogues gallery, if ever there was. To add insult to Adam Schiff's injury, one of those charged is George Nader, a key witness in the Mueller investigation. Nader is a convicted child molester. Nader works as a straw man for the Middle East sheiks, and it's clear now he was to influence certain members of Trump's team as well as the entire Democratic Party establishment. And let's move down here. From the Department of Justice, earlier today, an indictment was unsealed against the CEO of an online payment processing company and several others, charging them with conspiring to make and conceal conduit and excessive campaign contributions and related offenses during the U.S. presidential election in 2016 and thereafter. Assistant Attorney General Brian A. Ben Kowalski of the Justice Department's Criminal Division and Assistant Director in Charge, Timothy R. Slater of the FBI's Washington Field Office, made the announcement. A federal grand jury in the District of Columbia indicted Hamed Andy Khawaja, 48, of Los Angeles, California, on November 7, 2019, along with George Nader, Roy Boulos, Rudy Decker-Menajan, Mohammed Mo Diab, Rane El Sadi, Stephen Hill, and Thane Whipple. The 53-count indictment charges Khawaja with 2 counts of conspiracy, 3 counts of making conduit contributions, 3 counts of causing excessive contributions, 13 counts of making false statements, 13 counts of causing false records to be filed, and 1 count of obstruction of a federal grand jury investigation. Nader is charged with conspiring with Khawaja to make conduit campaign contributions and related offenses. Boulos, Decker-Menajan, Diab, El Sadi, Hill, and Whipple are charged with conspiring with Khawaja and each other to make conduit campaign contributions and conceal excessive contributions and related offenses. According to the indictment, from March 2016 through January 2017, Khawaja conspired with Nader to conceal the source of more than $3.5 million in campaign contributions directed to political committees associated with a candidate for president of the United States in the 2016 election. Yeah, that's Hillary. By design, these contributions appeared to be in the names of Khawaja, his wife, and his company. In reality, they allegedly were funded by Nader. Khawaja and Nader allegedly made these contributions in an effort to gain influence with high-level political figures, including the candidate. As Khawaja and Nader arranged these payments, Nader allegedly reported to an official from a foreign government about his efforts to gain influence. That was a stupid thing to do. The indictment also alleges that from March 2016 through 2018, Khawaja conspired with Boulos, Decker-Menajan, Diab, El Sadi, Hill, and Whipple to conceal Khawaja's excessive contributions, which totaled more than $1.8 million to various political committees. Among other things, these contributions allegedly allowed Khawaja to host a private fundraiser for a presidential candidate in 2016 and a private fundraising dinner for an elected official in 2018. The indictment further alleges that from June 2019 through July 2019, Khawaja obstructed grand jury investigation of this matter in the District of Columbia. Knowing that a witness had been called to testify before the grand jury, Khawaja allegedly provided that witness with false information about Nader and his connection to Khawaja's company. Boulos, Diab, Hill, and Whipple are also charged with obstructing the grand jury's investigation by lying to the FBI. Currently, Nader is in federal custody on other charges. Yeah, well, isn't that special? And this is the list of the contributions. Here's 2,700 Adam Schiff. These all seem to be appear to be 2,700. Yeah, there's Kirsten Gillibrand, Amy Klobuchar, Ken Harba. Yeah, so there you go. We like to say, or we like to think, well, I don't like to think, but a lot of us do think that justice is not being served, but there's so much happening behind the scenes that has to occur because this is so huge, so interrelated, and all these webs are all interrelated and connect that I think it's important. Some things have to happen before other things can happen and before the dominoes fall. So we'll see. I'm waiting for the 9th with kind of bated breath. So I'm hoping, like you are, for a bombshell. All right, and let's move on to this. Want to hear something that will send shivers down your spine? The real lunatic Pamela Karlan was on Hillary Clinton's short list for the Supreme Court. Donald J. Trump saved America. I think all of us are aware of that, and all of us feel the same. At least probably 99.9% of you listening to this channel, and probably the other tiny percentage are people that go, how did I land here? And who is this chick? There's always a few of those. All right, this from Live Breaking News. Breaking: House Judiciary Committee to hold a hearing to receive presentations of evidence in impeachment inquiry on December 9th. Why would they set a House Judiciary Committee meeting to to receive presentations of evidence of impeachment or in impeachment inquiry on December 9th? Why not December 8th? Why not 10th? Why 12th? Or maybe 12th? Why not 8th? You see what I'm saying? It's like, why December 9th? Because they know that something's coming out on December 9th, and they want to preempt it by getting all this impeachment stuff before the people. That because they know that the press will be reporting on this and not what's coming out in the IG report. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing, if you ask me. I think it's pretty evident. Now, could I be wrong? There's always that possibility, but in this case, I don't think so, because I think it's pretty transparent at this point how they proceed, how they operate, and how juvenile they are. You know what this is like? You know, I used to go to a lot of weddings when I was younger, my friends getting married and so forth. And there was always that one person. Now, not always, but occasionally there was that one person that wanted to upstage the bride, and they would wear white, which is a no-no. Why? You don't want to receive attention away from the bride. Well, the IG report is kind of like the bride, and they're like, okay, how can we upstage this? Okay, let's wear white. Really, that's what they're doing. Kind of a, not really a great analogy, but it's an analogy nonetheless. All right, let's look at this now. Because we can, and we will. Now, Hunter Biden's lawyer abruptly quits after Father of the Year blows off his child support hearing. Well, I know we're all shocked at that, right? Like, no way. A fine, upstanding citizen like Hunter Biden? He wouldn't do such a thing. Hunter Biden's lawyer abruptly quits after Father of the Year blows off child support hearing. Hunter Biden's lawyer abruptly quit on Monday after the former vice president's son and Ukraine energy expert failed to show up for a child support hearing regarding his out-of-wedlock child with a D.C. stripper from Arkansas. According to the Daily Mail, lawyer Dustin McDaniel, the former attorney general for Arkansas, filed a motion to withdraw after he says Biden's personal lawyer advised him that he was being discharged. Counsel will take all steps reasonable, practical to protect defendants' interests and make every effort to ensure an efficient and judicious transaction for new counsel, wrote McDaniel. Luden Roberts, 28, is suing Biden for $11,000 in legal fees plus child support payments after a DNA test reveals he was the father. Biden, meanwhile, says he's broke. How could he be broke? Why don't you borrow it from your father? It says he's broke and has requested that the judge seal his financial records due to significant debts. Despite having been paid vast sums of money while sitting on the board of Ukrainian gas company Burisma, Hunter was ordered by Judge Don McSpadden to provide at least 3 years of tax returns before he could reach a decision on monetary support for the child, whose name and gender have not yet been revealed. Biden has requested that his financial records be sealed to avoid public embarrassment over claims of significant debts, according to the Mail. Do we care about his public embarrassment? You should have thought about that before you got a stripper pregnant, right? I mean, do any of us normal people get to say, oh, that would cause me embarrassment? No. So, in addition to preventing the disclosure of Biden's alleged debts, it is thought information on his business ventures, investments, expenses, taxes, and personal property valuations would also be included in the documents. That from the Daily Mail and from blacklistednews.com. All right. Well, isn't that interesting? Yes and no. All right. Now this is from our fearless leader, Donald J. Trump. The do-nothing Democrats had a historically bad day yesterday in the House. They have no impeachment case and are demeaning our country, but nothing matters to them. They have gone crazy. Therefore, I say, if you're going to impeach me, do it now, fast, so we can have a fair trial in the Senate and so that our country can get back to business. We will have Schiff, the Bidens, Pelosi, and many more testify and will reveal for the first time how corrupt our system really is. I was elected to clean the swamp, and that's what I'm doing. You gotta love that guy. Seriously. Now, remember the explosion at Port Neches in Texas? Well, let's look at this, because this happened yesterday. Today's the 5th, right? Yes, this happened yesterday. Haven't heard any more about it, but any of you in the area, including Triple H, if she's watching, Heather H in Houston, she lives very close to there. Let me know if you've heard anything more about this. But let's look at this. Breaking: city of Port Neches, Texas, evacuated. A voluntary evacuation has been ordered in the city of Port Neches, Texas, according to local media. The evacuation has been issued due to elevated levels of butadiene from the first at the TPC plant in the city late last month. So now, I mean, they were saying it was, oh, the levels are fine. Come on down. The levels are fine. It won't hurt anybody. But now, how many weeks later? And they're saying that the levels are elevated and they have to evacuate people. Yeah. Can we trust them? If I was there, I mean, I know it's difficult when your job's there and everything else, but I wouldn't have trusted them from day one. As soon as they said, oh, if you can see all this stuff spilling out of a chemical plant, you know that the air is not safe to breathe. I mean, any human being, probably even the animals know. But there you have it. So if anybody has any further news on that, please put it in the comments below. Of particular interest is Heather H in Houston, and I know that there is another person that was commenting on in the comments that she works for a chemical plant or did work for a chemical plant in the region. So I would like to hear from that person as well in the comments, because it's always good to have well-informed people from that local area that can, yeah. So, all right. You know what I'm saying. It's getting late. All right, let's go back here. I want to give you a bang for your buck, even though I started late. I want to make sure that, all right. And this from Donald Trump Jr., and he's responding to Hillary Clinton, who said, in the United States of America, no one is above the law. And Donald Trump Jr. says, self-awareness level, 0. Yeah. I mean, isn't it ironic that she's saying in the United States of America, no one is above the law? Well, until now, she's been above the law. She's a piece of work, Hillary Clinton. And she is, from all apparent, I don't know, it seems apparent to me that by recent interviews that she is planning on running. So I don't know what's going to happen there. That's not going to be pretty at all. Although I really would like to hear, sorry, oh, that yawn just took over my face. Like, really, it was like an alien creature taking over. I know some of you yawned. I know you did. You can't lie to me about that. I know you did. All right. So anyway, yeah, it would be funny to see them back and forth, but really I hope she's arrested well before then. All right, and this from Mark Meadows. Pelosi and Democrats keep repeating this talking point that the facts are uncontested. I'm not sure what hearings they were watching because none of their witnesses brought any facts, just presumptions. Perhaps they didn't watch the hearings along with the rest of America. Well, apparently they didn't or they're just delusional. And I think that they're delusional. I think that they, it's like showing everybody an aardvark and saying, this is an elephant. It's an elephant. No, it's not an aardvark. It looks like an aardvark, but it's not. It's an elephant. No, really. And the more times they keep telling people, this isn't an aardvark, it's an elephant, more people are starting to say, yeah, it does look kind of like an elephant. What is that? Like, why are human beings, but it goes like our human nature is like that. Like if everybody is saying, oh, yeah, that's not an aardvark, that's an elephant. Pretty soon you're going to start to believe it. And that's what we have. It's like we're looking at the facts and they're saying, oh, no, this proves something else. This is actually this. It's like living in bizarro land or the land of opposites. It really is. Like black is white and white is black. Yes is no and no is yes. It's like living in opposite land. It's quite crazy. Now, let's look at this. Another interesting thing in the news today. Well, no, this isn't in the news today. Never mind. I picked that up from somewhere and it's old news. I usually check all these, but now here is back to Noah Feldman, the nephew of Jeffrey Epstein, who didn't kill himself, by the way. Dem witness Noah Feldman penned fawning defense of Islamic Sharia law. Remember what I was telling you about? This is where I got that. All right, and we're not going to go all the way down here, but let's just, Harvard Law professor and Democratic witness Noah Feldman took the witness stand yesterday in front of the House Judiciary Committee. Feldman wrote in a New York Times op-ed published on March 16, 2008, that Islamic law offered the most liberal and humane legal principles available anywhere in the world. Well, liberal and humane unless you're a woman or a dog, basically, which pretty much have the same equality in their line of thinking. He also juxtaposed Sharia with English common law and named the West and claimed the West needs Sharia and Islam. Some of the key paragraphs of okay, well, I'm not going to get into all that. I think it's enough. We know all about Sharia law, what it means. And how is it that so many Westerners see as the most unappealing and pre-modern aspect of Islam is, to many Muslims, the vibrant, attractive core of a global movement of Islamic revival? The explanation surely must go beyond the oversimplified assumption that Muslims want to use Sharia to reverse feminism and control women, especially since large numbers of women support the Islamists in general, and the idea of Sharia in particular. Noah Feldman isn't the only questionable Democrat witness today. Other witnesses have showed clear political bias towards President Trump, and one, Pamela Karlan, even donated to Elizabeth Warren's presidential campaign on July 29, 2019. David Bossie noted, one witness is Stanford University law professor Pamela Karlan, an Obama appointee who's been described as a sharp progressive. Karlan has contributed thousands of dollars to Democratic candidates over the years, from former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to former President Barack Obama to current presidential candidate Senator Elizabeth Warren. Feldman's support for Sharia law, however, should probably alarm all Americans as he lectures the nation on constitutional law. Yeah, I would see that as a conflict of interest. Yeah, just as much. Yeah. Let's go back. Really? Let's. Okay. We're almost there. Look, I'm going to finish all my points tonight, and I'm very proud of that, sort of. All right, look at this. New report released today shows that Joe Biden stole $140 million from the federal treasury, transferred the money to Rosemont Seneca, purportedly for bank bailouts, and then to his personal account in the Caymans. Yeah. I know, you're probably thinking, no. Yeah. Yep. Now, let's see what this is.
Sauer and Jennifer Franco, a new report reveals more evidence of corruption by Hunter and Joe Biden. According to the Washington Examiner today, investment firm Rosemont Capital received $130 million in federal loans during Joe Biden's tenure as vice president. And the money was routed from the U.S. Treasury through an offshore in the Cayman Islands and reportedly went to the company for the purpose of bailing out struggling banks. Rosemont Capital represented Hunter Biden in his Ukraine dealings, allegedly receiving multi-billion-dollar payments from the energy company Burisma. That report suggests that the Bidens used bailouts for personal gain while ordinary Americans were going bankrupt.
Yep. So there you go. And how dare he? How dare you? How dare he come up against that man that was asking him a valid question? And he gets all upset. You know why? Because he has no defense. There's no defense he can give except, no, that's uncorroborated. It's never been established. There's no evidence, whatever he says, all this blah, 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 blah. So yeah, now let's go back. There's more. Now I want to play something for you and you tell me. No, you tell me. Does she sound drunk to you? You know who this is going to be, right? You already know. As soon as I say drunk, you pictured in your mind this person. I know you did. Pelosi! Yes, now.
With confidence and humility, with allegiance to our founders and a heart full of love for America, today I am asking our chairman to proceed with articles of impeachment. I commend our committee chairs and our members for their somber approach to actions which the president had not made necessary. In signing the Declaration of Independence, our founders invoked a firm reliance on divine providence. Democrats, too, are prayerful, and we will proceed in a manner worthy of our oath of office to support and defend the Constitution of the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic. So help us God. But with confidence and humility,
I want to point
allegiance
something out here. A couple things. Okay, there's the weird thing going on with her mouth that happens all the time, it seems. Now, the second thing that I want to point out is that she's not connecting with her audience. Have you ever talked to somebody that you know they're looking at you, but they're just looking right through you? Like they're just kind of like, she is coached before she gets up in front of that camera and told everything to say, and she practices it because there's a video of just that. So I can tell these are not her words that are coming out. These are someone else's words placed into her. It's like she is an empty bag of skin and she's just like without any form or void and just kind of like this until somebody shoves their hand up her hinder parts and makes her talk. That's how I feel about her. Now, I'm just saying that's the way it appears to me. She doesn't have her own thoughts because I think her mind has been pickled, and I think that there are some medical issues there as well, maybe Alzheimer's, what have you. And that could be brought on by alcohol or whatever. But that is an issue that I see ongoing with her. She never seems to, once in a while, but she never seems to really connect. She's kind of like this, and just an odd expression on her. It's not a normal, that's not how a normal human being talks. It's not. And Also, I want to point out something else that's very important. All the flags behind her have a yellow fringe. That's the other thing I noticed. Why? Because Trump lately has been in front of flags without the gold fringe. I shouldn't call it yellow, it's gold fringe. Gold fringe meaning that we are under Admiralty law, and that is a very different thing. So I don't know if you've ever looked into that. You know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, perhaps you should look at Admiralty law and the gold fringe situation. I was not aware of that until somebody made me aware of that. And so that is why I mention it to you. Perhaps you're aware of that. Perhaps you're not. But it's odd because whenever the Democrats have American flags behind them, which is not very often, it's got a gold fringe. That says something to me. All right, now we're going to get out of here because I don't know. There's something about listening to her that is like nails on a chalkboard because I don't feel like I'm actually listening to somebody that's communicating. You know, to be able to communicate, you have to have the act and somebody has to receive it. And she's going through the motions, but there's no connection happening between her and her audience at all. So there you have it. Now, let's look at this. And this is the second last article that I'm going to go through tonight. Jeffrey Epstein's, and you've probably already heard this because this is actually a few days old now, but this has been updated 55 minutes ago. So this is something new, apparently. Jeffrey Epstein's private banker at Deutsche and Citi found swinging from a rope, executive suicide before FBI questioned him. Jeffrey Epstein's private wealth banker, who brokered and signed off on untold multiple millions of dollars in controversial Deutsche Bank and Citibank loans spanning 2 decades for the convicted pedophile, has died from a reported suicide. The news of yet another mysterious Epstein-linked death comes shortly after the FBI was seeking to interview the bank executive about loans he approved for Epstein and the indicted child traffickers' labyrinth of U.S.-based and offshore companies. The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner confirmed Thomas Bowers died by an apparent suicide by hanging at his home before Thanksgiving. Epstein likewise died from a reported suicide by hanging, according to the New York City Medical Examiner. No, he didn't. But I digress. Bowers headed the private wealth banking division for Deutsche Bank and signed off on millions in loans to Epstein. Bowers, prior to taking over the private banking arm of Deutsche Bank, served in the same top position as Citibank as the head of the bank's private wealth arm. Citigroup also made massive loans to Epstein, according to records and banking sources who spoke to True Pundit. True Pundit founder Mike Thomas Payne Moore previously headed anti-money laundering for a major Citigroup division during the time frame Citi commenced large loans to Epstein. The loans to Epstein were personal and commercial, Payne confirmed. The Citi loans, I can confirm, were for more than $25 million. Some were secured, some were not. Did Citi bend its lending rules for Epstein? Payne said that it appears quite likely, with Bowers and other Citi executives he later recruited to work for him at Deutsche, all working to secure the approvals regardless of compliance-related red flags. And sources said Citi loaned Epstein much more money, eclipsing $100 million, and also allowed Epstein to use the bank to send thousands of wire transfers from his accounts. Bowers, who turned up dead just days ago, brokered the loans for Epstein, sources said. Bowers was the chief of Deutsche Bank's private wealth management division and worked from the bank's Park Avenue offices in New York City. At Citi, Bowers served as the chief of the Citi Private Bank and previously ran Citigroup's global markets and wealth management businesses. And when Bowers left Citi for Deutsche Bank, Epstein followed. Meanwhile, Epstein stopped making payments on his millions in outstanding city loans, but that mattered little because Bowers approved new high-risk loans and credit lines from Deutsche Bank, sources said, and that relationship with Epstein continued until Bowers left Deutsche Bank in 2015. By that time, Epstein had chalked up untold millions in loans with the help of Bowers, who recruited many of his private wealth top bankers from Citi to Deutsche Bank. The FBI, who was interested in interviewing Bowers, sources, the FBI was interested in interviewing Bowers, sources confirm. The FBI subpoenaed Deutsche Bank in May for all loans and accounts linked to Epstein, and there were many unanswered questions. Deutsche Bank closed out Epstein's accounts weeks after the bank was served federal subpoenas. Federal law enforcement officials said the FBI planned to interview all Wall Street wealth fund managers who worked for Epstein, Bowers included. How much money did Deutsche broker for Epstein? That number to this point has proven elusive. The FBI is not talking, but one executive divulged Epstein had secured more than $60 million from Deutsche Bank's U.S. and German arms. Likely that number is larger, but at this point, the bank is keeping its exposure quiet. Just like Bowers had brokered for Epstein at Citi, Deutsche also set the convicted pedophile up with over a dozen bank accounts that Epstein employed to receive and send wires and funds. Other banking executives said Bowers had visited Epstein on his private island at least once. Bowers had also visited Epstein in New York and attended social events at his mansion. Federal law enforcement sources did not comment about these new revelations. However, Citi executives who worked with Bowers said the bank executive maintained an active nightlife and enjoyed the party circuit. Epstein also helped bring in a plethora of new businesses from wealthy associates to Bowers at both Deutsche Bank and Citi, sources said. Epstein made Bowers and his financial institutions hundreds of millions of dollars. One executive said it really didn't matter that Epstein stiffed Citi for $30 million in defaults because he brought so much new money, new blood in. Citi made far more than it lost. Seems like a pattern, the American Banker reports. Epstein bought lucrative clients into J.P. Morgan's private banking unit and was close to former head Jess Staley, who visited Epstein's private island as recently as 2015. Leon Black, Apollo, a global management billionaire chairman, met with the financier from time to time at the company's New York offices and used Epstein for tax and philanthropic advice. Police reportedly found Bowers hanging from a rope in his California home. He was 55. Previous press releases detailing Bowers' role with the private wealth arm of Deutsche detailed the division and its target clientele. I don't think we need to go over that, but it says this story is developing. So there seems to be a lot of stuff breaking right about now. So let's go back now. We are pretty much finished. We've got one more story to cover, and let's look at this from today. It's hot and fresh, like Krispy Kreme donuts. President Trump gives Nancy Pelosi a foretaste of the utter hell an impeachment trial will be for the Democrats. Now, this is fresh off the press. And let's look at this. A little earlier today, Nancy Pelosi decided that more of the Schiff show was not going to be helpful, and she directed various House committees to proceed with drafting articles of impeachment against President Trump. The White House issued its official response. Speaker Pelosi and the Democrats should be ashamed. Donald Trump has done nothing but lead our country, resulting in a booming economy, more jobs, and a stronger military, to name just a few of his major accomplishments. We will look forward to a fair trial in the Senate. And President Trump had his own, and we read that earlier, the do-nothing Democrats had a bad day, blah, blah, blah. If you're going to impeach me, do it now, so we can have a fair trial in the Senate. And they will. So it is pretty obvious that this hurried decision to move straight on to drafting articles of impeachment is a direct result of the issue being a non-seller basically everywhere. While it is giving the left a thrill up there, whatever, it is locking in Republican support for Trump, and moderates are seeing it as a distraction and a political hit on the president. Support for impeachment hit the high tide mark weeks ago and is slowly receding. This is not to say that it will ever go away, but it will only be popular among bulwark contributors and others who have a pathological hatred of President Trump. The Democrats should tread warily here. Mitch McConnell is not going to take the easy way out and simply call a vote to dismiss the charges, though he could. He said he will go through with a trial and McConnell will set the rules. The Chief Justice presides, but the rules are made by the majority. The odds of him refusing to let the president call witnesses to demonstrate that his request of Ukraine President Zelensky was valid approach 0. The odds of Adam Schiff not being called if the president's defense team wants it also approaches 0. Biden has already said he will not testify. I don't think that's an option, Biden. I mean, you like to think you're above the law. You're not. Could you imagine him going up against the president? Well, let's turn that around. Can you imagine the president going up against him? Because let me tell you, it would be like having a battle of the wits with an unarmed man. I mean, the president could dance circles around him. Anyway, that's fine, and that is what President Trump is hoping for. As the left says, when they aren't saying something completely different, this is political and not a judicial process. The imagery of the president's team claiming that this is all a sham and Democrats' witnesses refusing to testify will make the case for dismissal in the most epic way possible. If this goes to Senate, neither McConnell or Trump has any interest in not discrediting the Democrats and the process, and it is difficult to see them passing up this opportunity. Oh, I can't see them passing up the opportunity. I see them making an absolute fool of the Democrats, and I can't wait. So that is the show for tonight, and I will be back tomorrow. I don't know, I guess that's a warning to some, but yes, I will be back tomorrow with more. Hopefully there'll be some good news tomorrow. Who knows? But that's it for tonight. So I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. Sorry for being so late tonight. I got a long distance phone call and I had to take it. So that's why I ended up being so late. So that's it. And you guys stay safe, stay well, stay blessed. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want to be subscribed, make sure you are still subscribed. And if you want to support the channel in any way, the links are in the description. And obviously, support is needed because there is no advertisement on this site, and there won't be. So there you go, and have a good evening. Good night now. Sleep well.